They told us it was suicide. They told us the tapes were missing. They told us there's no client list. Epstein's own brother calls the closing of the Epstein case stupid. And more evidence comes out implicating Donald Trump in the Epstein files, as Elon Musk alluded to. But let's start off with Jeffrey Epstein's brother. This is Mark Epstein, calling the entire investigation or the closed case stupid. He says, this is according to Fox News, Jeffrey Epstein's brother is ripping federal investigators as stupid for a recent memo stating no additional evidence would be released and that his brother's death in federal custody was indeed a suicide. Mark Epstein, 70, has long disputed the official finding that his brother killed himself. He told Fox News Digital that when he hounded New York officials for answers, they didn't even provide him with the 911 call reporting his brother's death at a federal jail in Manhattan. He said his brother was looking forward to a bail hearing at the time of his death and that autopsy findings were inconsistent with suicide. Epstein said he laughed when he saw the FBI memo during a Tuesday night interview with News Nation. Quote, every time they say something or do something to try to quash the fact that he was most likely murdered, they put their foot further down their mouths, he told the station. The official FBI investigation outlined in a 128-page report released in 2023 concluded that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in a federal jail in New York City while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Recent statements from the top brass at the Justice Department and FBI stood by that conclusion. Yes, we know Epstein, he killed himself completely. Case closed, and there's also no list. And then Mark Epstein also said, when Kash Patel came out with that statement, I laughed at how stupid it was, he says. Yeah, I think we all know that Jeffrey Epstein probably didn't kill himself. There probably is a client list, and or at least a list you could compile based on the thousands of pages of documents and the thousands of girls who say that they were victimized. Here's Roger Stone. He writes, when Alexander Acosta, the U.S. attorney for South Florida who gave Epstein a pass on sex trafficking charges, was appointed Secretary of Labor, was asked what he would say about his handling of the Epstein case if asked about it in his U.S. Senate confirmation hearings. Acosta said, quote, I'll tell the truth that he worked for the CIA and that the case was sealed at their request. What? Okay. A lot of people have asserted this. They thought that Epstein not only worked for Mossad, but he was working for CIA as well. And that Mossad and CIA are intricately linked. They're essentially one and the same. Somehow there's been that marriage that we did not sanction as Americans, and they've done it. They've done it behind our backs. And now this is why they say Israel's our greatest ally. We sit there and we ask, in what way? Well, the CIA doesn't want to tell us. Well, because they're the CIA and we're Mossad. That's why. We're married. Don't you know? We're one big happy family. So that is why they're our greatest ally. They're our spouse. That's what it looks like anyway, and that's what Roger Stone is asserting here that Alex Acosta said in his meeting. Now, remember when Elon Musk accused Donald Trump of being in the Epstein files, and this is what many people are thinking. This is why there's now this big cover-up, because this doesn't make any sense whatsoever that suddenly we're being told there are no files, there's no client list, Epstein killed himself, case closed. Elon Musk recently said Trump was in the files, and also watch this. This is Elon Musk. I'm sorry, this is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump saying, you know, he basically went after a reporter and told the reporter to be quiet. Are you still talking about Epstein, he says? You know, when the reporter asked about it. Well, yeah, we're all still talking about Epstein, Donald Trump.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
It also seems like you're a little guilty. That's what that seems like if you're going to have a reaction like that when, yeah, everyone is talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And he makes that reporter seem like, you're an idiot. You're a fool for even asking this question. You're still talking about that when we have moved on to other bigger, more beautiful things and more tragic things. How dare you still talk about Epstein? You just look really guilty. That's what you look like. You look really, really guilty. And this is a collage of Donald Trump with Epstein numerous times, numerous photographs. Donald Trump said that he was friends with Epstein at one point, that him and Jeffrey Epstein both liked beautiful women, and that Epstein liked them very young. And Sarah Ransom has accused Donald Trump of being one of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. In fact, we played this clip for you recently, but let's just go ahead and play this for you again. This is Sarah Ransom, and then I'm going to share with you what she'd said about her friends that were basically trafficked to Donald Trump in court documents. Watch this.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on.
So Sarah Ransom has, she later did retract these statements, but I'll just share with you the statements that have been unsealed in court documents. There was an email that she had sent saying, seeming as my and my fiance's life is in danger and nothing has been done. She says, the font is small. I got to work my way through. Okay, seeing that my and my fiance's life is in danger and nothing has been done, even though I have every bit of evidence to implicate all parties mentioned. Mark my words, I will make sure that neither that evil bitch Hillary or that pedophile Trump gets elected. I will also make sure that everyone on the goddamn planet sees the footage and photos and will release them to WikiLeaks by Sunday. I will take down Epstein and his bunch of F-wit cronies myself. I have also gone to a Russian newspaper, seeming as the U.S. government won't help me. Surprise, surprise. I will help myself just like I always have. You've lost your exclusive and I'm super effed off right now. I feel so strongly about taking down these evil C-word, and even if you offered me enough money to buy the biggest super yacht in the world, which would give me the ability to hire and then fire all the people that were dicks to me when I worked in the industry, I will still not deviate from my goal. She also said in these court documents, she testified saying, my friend was one of the many girls that had sexual relations with Donald Trump. She confided in me about her casual friendship with Donald Trump. Definitely seemed to have a thing for her. Mr. Trump definitely seemed to have a thing for her. And she told me how he kept going on about how he liked her pert nipples. Donald Trump liked flicking and sucking her nipples until they were raw. One evening when we were showering together, she showed me her nipples. They looked incredibly painful as they were red and swollen. And I remember wincing when I looked at them. I also know she had sexual relations with Trump at Jeffrey's New York mansion on regular occasions. So she did accuse Donald Trump of being in those files, of being one of the clients. And Elon Musk also accused Donald Trump. So that's the question. The big question that all of us have is that why we're not getting the full truth? Is that why Donald Trump is kind of snapping at people saying, are you still talking about Epstein? No one's talking about move on. Is this why? Is because he's implicated, he didn't want these released. And it wouldn't just be him, right? I mean, it's a bunch of them, and on all sides of the aisle, and not just Americans, but foreign leaders too. There's a lot of names potentially on these lists. Thousands of girls were victimized, according to the documents. Thousands of girls. If it's 1,000 or 1,000 girls, first it was dozens. Back in when Jeffrey Epstein was being accused the first time around, and when he was convicted the first time around, they said dozens. That later ballooned up to 1,000 girls. So if you have that many, there's clearly a lot of people. And we're not getting any of these names. None of these people are being held accountable. Why? Well, because a lot of us suspect that it was a blackmail ring. And that's actually what it was. And the CIA, if CIA is involved in it, and certainly Mossad, don't want to lose their leverage. So they don't want to let these people go because a lot of them are in positions of power. And suddenly they'd have to be removed from power, and we'd have to get actual people in there who aren't blackmailed. And that would be disastrous for our nation because the stealthy elite behind the scenes wouldn't be able to control them. And that is what it seems like is the real reason why we're not getting any of this information. I want to play for you this video clip. This is James Lees, an excellent reporter. He watched all 11 hours of the footage that was released by the DOJ. You know, they said, oh, Jeffrey Epstein, he totally killed himself, and there's nothing to see here. And just to prove it to you, we're going to release 11 hours of footage from CCTV footage looking at doors that look at looking at a corridor in an area that leads to the door where Jeffrey Epstein would have been. And they said, as you can see, no one went in and out of there. And James Lee says, I watched all 11 hours, and let me just tell you, a lot of people went in and out of there.
Did they really think that people weren't going to watch this video? Did they really think that they were just going to be able to put out this BS statement claiming that, quote, the footage confirmed that from the time Epstein was locked in a cell around 10:40 p.m. on August 9th, 2019 until about 6:30 a.m. the next morning, nobody entered any of the tiers of the SHU? Did they really think that we're just going to take their word for it and not look? Well, guess what? I watched it all 11 hours, and let's just say they really do think that we're all idiots.
Well, the thing here is that at 12:05 a.m., you can see that in the timestamp, this big dude wearing a hoodie is seen entering this floor. He grabs the bags that are sitting there near the door, presumably linens or something, and then he tosses it out of door 46. He goes out briefly, and then he comes back in. He closes door 46 behind him and then walks down the staircase out of view. Now, a very important thing to note here is that door 46 is the only way to go in and out of this cell block floor. You can see that in the diagram here. Here's another diagram. Each of these cell blocks have 8 cells split into 2 levels, L and M, so 16 total each. You can see from the point of view of the officer's station that Epstein's cell is in the upper L level. But once again, I have to pull up the screenshot to show that that area that we were just looking at is almost completely obstructed from view. You can see maybe the little teeth that is in the staircase going up to the L level. So really anyone could have gone up and down that staircase without being seen by this camera. So the claim that this footage can conclusively prove anything is sort of laughable already, but let's keep going. At 3:15 a.m., a female officer goes out of door 46 and then comes back in at 3:17. And just to remind people again, you cannot see the stairwell that goes up into Jeffrey Epstein's cell block. But what we do know for sure now is that there are people coming and going throughout the night in and out of this floor. Then there's this craziness where 1 full minute of footage is just missing. It goes from 11:58:58 to 12:01:01. And you can even see the video frame change. Right there, 11:58:58, 12:01:01. And then something else that's kind of odd here in this moment is that some sort of editing software menu pops up in that upper right-hand corner. Finally, this is near the end of the video, allegedly capturing the moment at around 6:30 a.m. when officers realized that Epstein had quote-unquote killed himself. The footage is sort of blurry, but you can kind of make out that there's a lot of commotion and movement and discussion in the background there. I'm sure they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
So yeah, they're not even hiding it anymore at this point. This whole thing was a ruse by the Trump administration to pretend that they were taking on the deep state, when in fact, they are the deep state.
James Lee is definitely somebody you should be following. He's an incredible journalist, so be sure to follow him and watch the entire video. But you can see the idea there, which is they think we're idiots. They're claiming no one went in and out, and yet we see throughout the footage, the 11 hours of it, that plenty of people came in and out, and it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't. Somebody could have snuck in another way. You know, potentially they could have hid for a long time. Apparently, there's like a kind of like a closet in that cell area where it's for maintenance, and so somebody could have been in there for many hours. And somebody could have come in through, there's cell blocks that are one on top of the other. And I believe Jeffrey Epstein was on the top cell block. So somebody could have come in from the bottom. I mean, who knows how they're constructed and if there's a way to get into the cell from, they just think we're stupid. And they're like, look, here's all this footage. And now it proves it. No, if you want to prove it, then show us the footage of Jeffrey Epstein actually killing himself. That's the footage we'd want to see. The footage in his cell of him actually killing himself. And then us saying, okay, yeah, I guess he actually did it. But yeah, they just think we're stupid. I do want to play this song for you. Jesse Wells is one of the best. He creates these really funny songs. And I want to play part of his latest, The List, for you now.
Well, you got your bucket list, your grocery list, your list of things to do. You got a list of all your wishes. That's a wish list, dude. You got your Amazon and Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy too. But I know a list that don't exist, and buddy, so do you. It's the Epstein list, it's a mystery list with a twist. It's a myth of a list that we all dismiss. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. If you wish to persist, it's probably best to forget that list. Now what were we talking about? I don't remember, but I can sleep a lot better at night. Yeah, life can just go along, knowing there's 10,000 hours of sunshine and flowers and nobody doing a damn thing wrong. Hear no, see no, damn Bongino, cash to tell. Well, I wouldn't wanna be a sweating man with bulging eyes. Now tell me them fellas ain't compromised. Any implicated dude will tell you. Anybody on the big list knows just how far the folks in charge will go to keep the status quo. So when the war bell rings, the song that they'll sing is a song that we well know. I-oh. So it's off to war I go. Well, they said they's gonna fix it, but now they're all complicit. They owe. So it's off to war we go. Send the poor off to war. What else are we for? They owe.
Yeah, what do they owe? I mean, what did Israel get for all of this? Here's a little glimpse. I just want to show you evidence of the consequences of Israel's blackmail and bribery scheme that they have on our country. Here's Susan Collins, Senator Susan Collins. She was asked, do you know how many Americans the Israeli military has killed in the past 20 months? And she wouldn't answer the question. And in the end, she just says, I'm pro-Israel. To the question of if Americans had been killed by the IDF, she says, I'm pro-Israel.
Do you know how many Americans the Israeli military has killed in the past 20 months?
Sorry, she's got a meeting. Thank you.
No insight on the Americans killed by the Israeli military, Senator?
I am pro-Israel.
I am pro-Israel, she just says. Unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. Here's another showcasing of what the Israel blackmail scheme has gained them. Texas City requires Israel pledge for hurricane relief. This was in 2017. We're not even sure if this law that is in place, I believe it is, will take effect and impact those who've been recently harmed by the flood, who've been killed, devastated by the recent flooding in Texas. But 36 states, I believe it's 36, it might be up to 38 now, states in this country have no anti-BDS laws, meaning you as an American citizen are not allowed to boycott, divest, or sanction Israel. Otherwise, you will lose federal funding. So if you are paid by the federal government, you'd lose your job. If you are a federal contractor, you would lose the contract. If you are asking for federal money in some way, you won't get it. And that's if you have to sign a pledge saying that you will not boycott, divest, or sanction Israel, a foreign country, in order for you to receive U.S. taxpayer dollars. And this is not made up. This isn't exaggerated. This isn't a lie. This is an actual real policy. And in 2017, hurricane relief victims in Texas could not receive hurricane relief without signing an Israel pledge. Basically, an Israel first pledge. I will not boycott, divest, or sanction Israel. Now, please give me the money that I need for my relief. That is what that's what they're doing. And they might still be doing that. This was from 2017, but they may still have that in effect for the flooding victims. The fact that they ever did that at all, the fact that 36 states in the union have laws that prevent American citizens from boycotting a foreign country should be sounding off loud alarm bells in everybody's minds here in the United States. Also, I want to play for you this. This is Catherine Austin Fitts. She's just wonderful. And Palantir has, it was part of the Doge scheme when Doge was going in and Doge was trying to cut down on waste, fraud, and abuse. One of their ideas was, well, we should consolidate all of the agencies that basically have Americans' data. So we're going to consolidate all that data into one location. Well, that one location, unfortunately, is Palantir. Palantir ended up getting the contract, it seems, to be the outlet that would secure and organize every single American's data. And Catherine Austin Fitts has this to say about that.
I think Palantir is in partnership with Netanyahu syndicate and the breakaways. But they have contracts with Health and Human Services. They have contracts.
The government pays them massive amounts
massive amounts of money.
Massive amounts of money. And so if you look at the Doge theft, what you've done is you've moved between the government contracts. You know, there's a new sole source ICE contract on the way to Palantir as well. That's just announced. I just found that last night. So you've got, you know, they have the Treasury data, they have the IRS data, they have the Social Security data. They now they're going to have all the ICE data.
They had some already.
Yeah. They had some already, and then Trump has announced he wants to privatize Freddie and Fannie, but Palantir's going to underwrite all the packages before they come into Freddie and Fannie. So they're going to have all the housing data, and we know HHS has said they're organizing all the health, public and private health data. So I'm assuming that's going in as well. And basically, you're talking about that data being managed and I think at this point basically privatized into AI.
Owned by they're going to effectively own it. They're going to have AI running it. And one of these things
I don't know if they will legally technically own, because if you look at how it was transferred, so the Doge operation, if I'm right, and this is my hypothesis, if the Doge operation did what I think, they transferred all the data and they did it when an XAI announced a partnership with Palantir.
Yes.
And then the government turned around, and Palantir had a lot of contracts with those agencies anyway, but then they gave them additional contracts. And so they have plenty of money, especially the ICE is going to be sole source, so you can just do pretty much whatever you want. So they have plenty of money to manage that data, and yes, I think they have it on a private basis. And what's interesting, I have somebody, a professional that I work with who for his business has to do income verification, and magically 2 weeks after Doge got the Treasury, Social Security, and IRS, suddenly the income verification service he uses announces they have 100% of Americans now complete data on everyone magically.
It's astonishing. And one of the elements of the ICE contract is that they can track immigrants' location in real time through Palantir back to ICE. You know, that's the kind of surveillance.
They can attract everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason that doesn't apply to the citizens.
You know, the ICE story is complicated because there are multiple things going on, but there's no doubt the primary thing going on is building a complete biometric surveillance of the entire population.
Palantir is part of, you know, they're part of the game as well. You know, Zionists that run it, and at least I'm pretty sure about that Palantir is part of the Zionist. Let me just do a quick search on that, but I'm pretty sure that Palantir it is part of the Zionist sort of syndicate. And so, you know, look, if you've got, which it makes sense, if you're blackmailing an entire country, you've got all this blackmail data and bribery and brainwashing, and now you want all of their data so that you could continue to solidify that blackmail and that control. This is how you do it. You create Palantir, and then you ensure that Palantir gets all of the contracts to consolidate all of the data from all of the U.S. federal agencies, which has data, all of our sensitive data, and it's now going to a private company that's part of the Zionist syndicate. So very, very, very scary stuff going on here. You know, and it all boils down to Epstein and that client list, and Donald Trump's telling us, how dare you still talk about this? But here we have a dead man. We have no client list. We have no tapes. We have Trump implicated, and the administration telling us to just move along now. And we all know Epstein didn't kill himself, and we also know they just covered it up. And it's like they're daring us to not notice. And guess what? We noticed. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.